Hey, this is Tony Ross for CreativeCow.net, and this is part 2 in our little Rainy Cityscape. When last we left our heroes, yeah, we had a background done. Got that going pretty good. Got a nice little moon happening there. That's cool. Uh, we're going to add another layer here and really start pushing the multi-plane effect. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna close this out. I'm going to create a new layer. Simply insert new layer. And this layer is going to be called MG. Okay, it's going to be our little middle ground there. Okay, and what I want to do to keep myself out of trouble is lock my background layer. Okay, and we're going to pretty much doing the exact same thing. Going to go ahead and grab our rectangle tool. If you remember from the first lesson, I'm going to grab a darker gray this time, and I'm going to start working on our city. Same little base here. I'm going to stretch that out. Hold on my command key or control on PC, and that way I can get my selection tool really quick. It's a little shortcut. And 549, hey, I'm off 1 pixel. Again, we're using the default of Flash, which is 550 by 400 pixels. So I want the width to be 550. Okay, the height is fine at 22. My X, I do want it to be exactly at 0. Okay. Alright, so I've got that set. Now, if you're thinking, hey, well, you can see some of the base there at the bottom. If that's really bugging you, you could always kind of change that out. Once we end this, we'll be kind of masking everything out anyway, so you can even have it where you don't see these bases at all. You just see where the buildings are. Okay, so let's go ahead and start adding some buildings here. And I'm going to go click 1. And I'm just going to still kind of keep aware of my little edges here. I really don't want to add anything there. And it won't be that noticeable that we're not doing that, especially once all the buildings are added in. So I'm going to start adding some more buildings. These should be a little bit larger because they're closer to us. Okay. All right. That going. Now, depending on what view you have, whether it's like a bird's eye view or if you're just standing at normal eye level, or if you're kind of Superman or some junk like that, the city, the way it's going to look, maybe these buildings, the middle ground is going to be a little bit higher. I'm kind of doing this as if I were standing on the ground and looking out. The buildings that are further in the horizon are going to seem taller. So that's the little trick I'm doing. So let's go there. All right, not too bad, not too shabby. Maybe not that tall. Command Z, Control Z on PC. Okay, looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go back to Window and duplicate my window. Okay, and I'm going to bring this up here, and I want to make sure I can see everything I'm doing, so I'm going to change the view to 25%. Okay. Alrighty. So now we did the first movie and we selected our buildings, copied and pasted in place, and then moved it over 1100 pixels. Well, here's the deal with this one. Where we're getting these numbers from, by the way, the width, the natural width of our document is 550. So 1100, we've multiplied that by 2. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this particular one a little bit longer. We're going to do 1650, so that's 1100 plus 550. Okay, so a little bit of math. Trust me, I'm not a fan of it either. Okay, I'm going to select this, copy, Command C, Control C on PC, and we're going to do a paste in place, Command Shift V, Control Shift V on PC. And In my properties inspector, the X, I'm going to set this to 1650 and hit my enter or return key. All right, now if you look, you can see where our other buildings are, okay, and they stop here. And this one's going to be a little bit longer, okay? It's exactly 550 pixels longer than the other one, okay? So it goes a little bit slower once we start the animation. So I'm going to do the same effect. Let's click here and get my subselection tool, and I want to click and drag so I just get the two edges, these 2 points here on the end. Alright, now I'm going to hold down my shift key and use my arrow keys on my keyboard and move this over until I can touch that building. I'm going to be very careful. Okay, pretty close. I'm going to let go of my shift key and just use the arrow key, so it's just moving a pixel at a time, and I'm just moving it until they light up, like right there. Looks good. Alright, now to go to my selection tool, I'm going to click here, going to double check. That's what I was looking for. I have to make sure I don't have any little errors. Basically what happened was, once I did that little arrow move, it shifted this over 4 pixels. I want to make sure it's exactly at 0. This is important. Okay, now that's set there. So what I'm going to do next is get my rectangle tool again and start adding buildings in the middle here. And looks like I got a little floater there. Okay, this is also what comes in handy. You can start seeing, okay, well, yeah, you've got the duplicate window. It's a little weird garage looking thing there. Let's kind of cover that up. Alright, that's better. And again, remember, we're making these a little bit wider. And I actually may zoom in because I'm leaving too many holes here. Let's do 50%, see if we can get away with it. And scoot this over. Alright. Okay. It's looking pretty good here. Alright. I think this is where Carrie lives. And let's scroll this over a little bit more. And I think Miranda lives somewhere over here. Okay. Not bad. And let's make a little spot for Charlotte. Okay. And last but not least, let's make a little place for Samantha. I always felt Samantha was in the penthouse. Not sure why. Okay. Alright, there we are. Let's get, again, we're making sure we're not getting too close to our little edge there. It's not bad. Let's add a little few touches. Okay, so got that set. Let's go back to our 25%. Okay. Alright, so there's our second little area. Now, let's go ahead and select this. Click here once, and again, make sure we're at 0. I'm going to convert this to a symbol, F8, and this is going to be MG Marla Gibb. Marla Gibb? Barry Gibb. Interesting. Alright. Okay. Now, got that set. Now here's the tricky part. We're going to drop in a keyframe. And if you think we're going to drop in a keyframe at frame 179, you're wrong. We have to first select frame 180. Enter a keyframe, F6. Okay? Now if you're thinking, dude, like the sky's gone and there's like all these buildings we made, like where George, Wheezy, and Tom, and Helen, and even Lenny actually stayed. Those are gone. That's because they're here. Right now, we're just trying to make sure we get this little cycle working. So we have to do 180 first, and we're going to select here. And right now, we're going to type in for our x, we're going to do -1650 and hit our enter or return key. All right. Next thing we're going to do is click anywhere between frames 1 and 180, and we're going to do create motion tween. Okay. Not bad. Now you can kind of see exactly what's happening here. Like you've got these moving at two different paces because one of them is longer. Okay, but we're telling it to pretty much travel the exact same distance. Okay. So what I'm going to do next to make sure we don't have a little blank spot here, and then also make sure we have a seamless loop on our middle ground, we select frame 179, enter a keyframe, F6, and then select the frame 180, hold down our shift key and hit F5 to clear that frame. And we've got that happening now. Let's go ahead and test this out. Command return, control enter on PC. And hey, here we have our little middle ground as well as our background moving. Okay, so we've got a decent multiplane going here. All right, do we want to add any more? We could. All right, the quick way of doing this is simply, the first one we did was set at 1100, the next one was 1650. All you would have to do is add 550 to 1650. Okay, why don't you do the math on that and catch me on the next episode when we're going to add some rain. And I'm going to do one of those little cook or chef things, and I'm going to sneak in and add like another set of buildings here. So there'll be even a foreground, but it's basically the same principle. We'll do frames 1 and then frame 180, set the motion tween, and then you get rid of that last frame of 180 so you have a seamless loop. Okay, this has been Tony Ross for CreativeCow.net. Remember, keep it simple, make it perfect. If you don't have time to make it perfect, rethink the idea.